and catalyze sustainable development and wealth creation by engaging highly skilled human resources. And that brings us today's event. The theme of this webinar, Think, Build, Pitch, reflects an important journey from identifying ideas to develop solutions and finally communicating them effectively to the world. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed facilitators for today's session. First, we have Dr. Milind Choudhari, founder and CEO of WeInnovate Biosolutions Private Limited. Dr. Choudhary brings extensive experience in innovation driven entrepreneurship and translation science, startup mentoring with strong focus on building solutions that bridge research and real world applications. Joining him is Ashutosh Prachand, director at KnottyIP and Invention and Innovation Consultant. He has worked extensively in the domain of innovation strategy, intellectual property, startup mentoring, and technology commercialization, helping innovators navigate the journey from ideas to implementation. We are truly delighted to have both our speakers with us, and we look forward to an insightful and engaging session. And now, without any further delay, I invite our speakers to take a session forward. Thank you, and over to you, Milind.
Yeah, thank you, Rupali and the whole team of PKC for organizing this. I think this is the need of the hour today, that entrepreneurship needs to be, spoken from a point of view wherein it needs to reach to a larger audience. And that should also encourage all the young students who are just passing out, or maybe, just having a mindset of thinking of doing something different than what the traditional career choices are, and can make a mark, not just financially for them, but also for the country. And looking at the current geopolitical situation, it's very important for our country to become more entrepreneur driven and more product driven economy. So I think with that introduction, we can just straight away begin. I'll just ask Ashutosh to start with his little bit of introduction, and then we can move forward.
Sure, sure. Yeah, thanks again for that introduction. And I was just browsing through you know, we were preparing for this presentation today, and I saw a very interesting cartoon, you can say, wherein one person was asking who wants innovation. Everybody, raised their hands, and out of them, then he asked, who wants to innovate? Everybody, hands down. All the people who had raised their hands, who wanted innovation, now when the question of who wants to innovate was asked, they put down their hands. Now the third question came in, wherein that fellow again asked, who is ready to fail? Now everybody disappeared, right? Now, why it happens is because we are constantly, brought in an environment and ecosystem where failure is kind of designated as something which is very derogatory. If you're building something, if you want to innovate really and then, make your differentiator, failure is the first step, I would say, right? And many people who don't start because of thinking that something might go wrong. That mentality is something that needs to be changed. If you're really looking at building a entrepreneur driven kind of an ecosystem, and especially as Milind rightly pointed out, today if we want to develop a ecosystem or economy which is very much risk taking economy, we need to have those abilities of thinking differently in our in our minds, so that we see the problems, we identify the problems, and we are able to solve them differently. And why I'm saying this is because when you see taxis or rickshaws or bikes on the road, somebody saw an opportunity in converting that into an application and bring in a taxi hailing app, when you are going out and eating food, somebody said that, hey, I'll just punch a hole in the wall, probably to start a delivery kind of a service. Okay. uh, Somebody thought beyond that and then said that, why do you have to go to a restaurant? I'll bring the restaurant to your home, right? That's something which is, which has come out of innovative thinking. And on those lines, I think, because when we and Willin sort of started working on this concept of training individuals, startups, and established businesses, and also advising them on different aspects such as business strategy, communication, effective storytelling, building companies from scratch, and even raising funds for them. I think, Milind, it happened over a flight journey, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
We were
yes.
we were coming back from Bangalore, if I'm not wrong, and we were actually roaming around India in different universities, publicly funded universities, to essentially talk about these things only. And then we felt that, why don't we again, if we are advising people that, we should think differently and then, create something which is of impact and value, why don't we work together and then, develop a particular model wherein we can onboard students, startups, and established businesses to co-create something which is of high impact. And this is one of the things uh, that was experienced, that people also don't start because they don't have ideas. People also don't start because they are thinking of having a good partner with them. And I think that kind of solved,
Yeah,
it worked for us, because we were constantly thinking about it, giving sessions, talking to a lot of wannabe entrepreneurs, and it kind of hit that both of us can do it together. So
yeah.
it happens in the journey, is what I believe firmly. You
Yes,
don't need to wait for the perfect partner to come and then sit and talk with you. It happens. So the thought processes align over a period of time. So you need to express your ideas to somebody without any hesitation. If you are
correct,
hesitant, there are mechanisms. You can sign maybe something called as a non-disclosure agreement, and so on and so forth. But then uh, talking helps, is what I've really experienced, you know.
correct, correct.
And I think on that line, Milind,
Yeah,
maybe
I'll start. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
pitch you in, and
yeah,
maybe you can take it right from there. All I
yeah.
wanted to pass a message is that unless and until you are, thinking differently, taking cues from innovation methodologies that are out there, and brainstorm on the ideas that you have, there is hardly any chance that you will be able to convert something which is of tangible outcome. Okay, so I
Correct.
think on those lines, Milind, please
Yes, yes,
take the floor and
yes.
guide us on how to build and pitch.
Correct. So here is what we are going to do. So we have very small time frame, frankly speaking. So I'm not expecting कि overnight आज के बाद तुम लोग कल उठ के you start thinking कि अब मेरे को entrepreneurship करना है, मेरे को business start करना है. This is not what is the aim of this specific talk. This talk is actually just a sneak peek into the mindset change and thought process change about the entrepreneurship. So पहला question that I want to ask, and I'm going to keep it Hindi, English sort of thing, because business does not have a language barrier per se. It needs to be done. That's it. An executioner is the king. That's the best language. So I suppose ये मैं assume करके चल रहा हूँ that most of the students are from STEM background. I am also from a STEM background. I have a PhD in biotechnology, nanotechnology kind of interface, and then I started my entrepreneurship journey. So what I want you all to put in a chat box if you have an idea, because this is what I think 90% of the people who joined this session are thinking of some or the other idea and they don't know how to do it ahead. So I want a thumbs up for if you have an idea, and a cross sign in front of it how you don't know how to execute it. और अगर आइडिया नहीं है तो just cross करके डालो. So I want to see responses from all of you. Komal, can you see the chats? Okay, so no idea, don't know
Yes.
how to proceed forward. KK is saying no idea, don't know how to proceed forward. श्रेया इज सेइंग नो, श्रद्धा इज सेइंग नो आइडिया। आइडिया किसी के पास नहीं है, आइडिया हो तो कम से कम राइट मार्क। हाँ, गुड, सो सुधीर हैज सम आइडिया, या, but don't know how to execute. Yeah. So a lot of people are coming up with ideas. Sumit, no idea. Ankita, no idea. So idea भी नहीं है। कैसे करना ये तो अलग बात है, बट पहले तो देर इज सम आइडिया। सो अभी 90% ऑफ द पीपल दैट आई एम सीइंग डू नॉट हैव एन आइडिया। आप लोग चाय के टपरी पे जाते हो, राइट? ऑल ऑफ यू मस्ट बी गोइंग। और वहां पर चाय की टपरी पे क्या बातें होती है कि ये चाय वाला चाय बेच रहा है, अरे यार एक ग्लास 10, एक कप 10 रुपए का बेचता है, उसमें 2 रुपए का दूध लगता होगा, चाय पत्ती 2 रुपए की लगती होगी, रेंट 2 रुपए का लगता होगा, ये कम से कम एक कप के ऊपर 5 रुपए प्रॉफिट कमा रहा है, और कम से कम दिन में 1000 कप बेचता है, तो 5,000 रुपए का प्रॉफिट तो दिन में खड़े खड़े कमाता है। ये सब नहीं सोचा है कभी? शायद हम भी कभी कभी चाय का टपरी खोल दे, दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग डज नॉट अकर टू योर माइंड। और science student does not do this sort of things. They are just sitting in the lab and just thinking about the product and the research aspect. So typically this is what exactly happens when 90% of us, we are inquisitive as human beings. We have an inquisitive brain. हम एक थॉट प्रोसेस है टू कोरिलेट थिंग्स, एक से दो, दो से तीन, तीन से चार, चार से पांच कैसे हो सकता है। सो इफ यू आर थिंकिंग कि हम लोग साइंस कर रहे हैं, वी आर इन द स्टेम एरिया, सो वी आर एक्सट्रीमली इंटेलिजेंट, primarily this intelligence comes from our normal human nature, that we have an inquisitive mind towards finding out, digging out things and then coming up with some sort of solution. इसीलिए तो हम evolve होकर we have become humans and the most dominant species on earth, right? Everything that we have done today is through evolution. I mean, the first evolution is fire. जब fire आया, innovation, फायर का इनोवेशन हमने निकाला, तब हम वी स्टार्टेड कुकिंग फूड एंड देन आवर ब्रेन स्टार्ट डेवलपिंग एंड देन we started doing a lot of things that we do today. So idea and innovation happens and it comes to everybody's mind. The problem is we as science students break it down too much into a level wherein it becomes a complicated kind of an idea, and then it's very difficult for us to convince to people and then start selling it. So the first thing that you have to do primarily is open up your mind. Now, how many of you have a problem statement? Up there is a difference between idea and a problem statement. So I need a thumbs up जिन लोगों ने कुछ ना कुछ problem face किया है अपने, maybe during your research, your education and all those sort of thing. I need thumbs ups if you have faced some or the other ideas, some or the other problems that you have faced. और thumbs up के सामने write करो अगर वो idea आपने solve भी किए तो। I need to start seeing responses. Yeah, quick, we don't have too much time. ओके, यस, प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रहे हैं सब लोग। अंकिता ने प्रॉब्लम फेस किया है, सुधीर ने प्रॉब्लम फेस किया है। ओके, ग्रेट, ग्रेट, और सॉल्व भी किया है। ओके, गुड, सो समबडी, वैभव हैज फेस सम प्रॉब्लम एंड ही सॉल्व्ड दैट प्रॉब्लम आल्सो। एक्सीलेंट। वैभव, डू यू थिंक कि आपने जो प्रॉब्लम फेस किया और उसका आपने सोल्यूशन बनाया है, वो सोल्यूशन आप बेच सकते हो इन द मार्केट? टाइप यस इफ यू कैन। ओके, सो लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर फेसिंग प्रॉब्लम्स। सोल्यूशन किसी के पास नहीं है, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम सब लोग फेस कर रहे हैं। Great. So this is exactly what I am trying to talk. When we talk about entrepreneurship, या फिर आप शार्क टैंक देख रहे हो, एवरीबडी इज थिंकिंग अबाउट, अरे क्या बढ़िया प्रोडक्ट बनाया है इससे, मतलब दिस इज व्हाट ऑल द जजेस एंड एवरीबडी, ऑल द इन्वेस्टर्स आर एक्चुअली लुकिंग एट द प्रोडक्ट, बट दे आर नॉट इवेल्युएटिंग द प्रोडक्ट ऑन द प्रोडक्ट बेनिफिट्स। वो है, चल रहा है, but the investment decision is taken on the basis of the problem that they are solving. So अगर आपको लगता है that you are invention है, सोल्यूशन आपके पास है, सोल्यूशन से पहले ऑन्टरप्रिनरशिप में माइंडसेट जो आपको चेंज करना है इज फ्रॉम सोल्यूशन टू प्रॉब्लम। यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई द प्रॉब्लम। सोल्यूशन देने वाले हजारों लोग हैं यहां पर। अगर आप एक प्रॉब्लम थ्रो करोगे तो यहीं पर इन दिस session itself, there'll be somebody from engineering background, he'll come up with some sort of solution. There's somebody from biology background, he'll come up from some sort of solution. So सोल्यूशन देने वाले बहुत सारे लोग बैठे हुए हैं, एंड सोल्यूशन समटाइम्स आर ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग, एंड आशुतोष विल थ्रो सम लाइट ऑन दैट, that solutions are already existing somewhere, someone has already done that. The major problem, the real entrepreneur, आज जितने भी आप लोग देख लो, रितेश अग्रवाल, या वो जितने भी शार्क टैंक पे जजेस आपके बैठे हुए, आर यू थिंकिंग कि उन लोगों ने वो सॉफ्टवेयर बनाए हैं? वो अमन गुप्ता, आपको लगता है उसने वो स्पीकर बनाया है, बोट का वो टेक्नोलॉजी बनाया है? नो, ही हैज नॉट डन दैट। ही हैज ओनली स्मार्टली आइडेंटिफाइड द प्रॉब्लम इन इंडियन मार्केट, कि बहुत चीपर प्रोडक्ट या क्वालिटी चीपर प्रोडक्ट्स आर नॉट अवेलेबल इन द इंडियन मार्केट। उसके बाद इनोवेशन का काम उसका नहीं है। A right entrepreneur or the first guy who starts a company actually is a very good, he has a excellent mindset in spotting the problems, and I am very happy to see that most of you have actually written yes for finding out problem, so you are encountering the problem. So problem encounter होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, और हम इंडिया जैसे कंट्री में रहते हैं, हमें प्रॉब्लम हर जगह एनकाउंटर हो रहा होता है। एवरी स्टेप दैट we go is a problem that we encounter, but the second step of that is acknowledging that there is a problem. So encountering a problem is one thing, मैं जा रहा हूँ बहुत ट्रैफिक है पुणे में, हाँ है। आर यू एक्नॉलेजिंग दैट देर इज अ ट्रैफिक? अगर आप एक्नॉलेज करते हो कि ट्रैफिक है, तो आप रिबकेशन सोचना चालू करोगे अबाउट व्हाई देर इज ट्रैफिक, क्या इशू है, क्यों लोग उससे कितना निगेटिव इंपैक्ट पड़ रहा है, या क्या क्या हो रहा है। That's the second step. So first step is understanding the problem, या फिर addressing, rather than addressing, identifying a problem. Second is acknowledging that there is a problem, and then third part comes in, which is called as characterization of the problem. So आप problem को ठीक से characterize करते हो. So whenever whichever problem that you have occurred and addressed to, you have to strategically break it down, and then there are multiple strategies, and maybe a day or two of workshop that we'll do at a later point of time, we will talk about all those strategies. जब आप एक प्रॉब्लम को ठीक से कैरेक्टराइज करते हो, then you figure out कि what is the impact of that problem, what is the loss that is happening, and what are the things which are happening inside the problem. So you come to a root cause, something called as a root cause. And if you are able to address the root cause very well, business start there. That's the starting of the business journey, or then you are an entrepreneur, because you are now looking at the problem and strategically characterizing it. दोनों चीजें आप कर रहे हो, उसका निगेटिव इम्पैक्ट कितना हो रहा है, कितना प्रॉब्लम लोग फेस कर रहे हैं, that also, and then how you are also finding out the root cause, so that then you can provide a better solution. So you all agree to this point कि एक प्रॉब्लम के मल्टीपल सॉल्यूशंस हो सकते हैं, राइट? सब सब लोग अग्री करते हैं। अभी हम खुद फेस कर रहे हैं, हमारे पास 50 स्क्रीन है टुडे, बट मल्टी डिफरेंट पर्पसेस वी आर यूजिंग डिफरेंट स्क्रीन, सो देर आर लॉट ऑफ इनोवेशंस विच आर हैपनिंग। प्रॉब्लम वो सेम ही सॉल्व कर रहा है, बट इनोवेशन अलग अलग है, अलग अलग मेथोडोलॉजीज। whichever is sold most is the best. It's as simple as that. लेकिन वो करने के लिए you'll have to go through a strategic methodology. So today if you ask me, and then I'll pass on to Ashutosh, today if you ask me, इंडिया में किस चीज की जरूरत है, what are we looking forward? आप लोगों ने सबने डिग्री कंप्लीट की है, what are your plans after degree? So कोई कोई लोग बोलेंगे I want to go into academic, somebody will say that I want to get a job in industry and all those sort of thing. But I'm telling you that every other boy sitting beside you is thinking exactly the same thing. और वही आप, मतलब वो हम लोग एक प्रोसेस में आए हैं, ब्रिक आफ्टर ब्रिक, ब्रिक आफ्टर ब्रिक, ब्रिक आफ्टर ब्रिक। बट टुडे द सिचुएशन इज आवर पॉपुलेशन वर्सेस द जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज दैट वी हैव आर वेरी स्लिम. So most of us, I'm not saying every one of us, but most of us will have to start thinking differently from a point of view wherein we start becoming job creators. और जब हम बोल रहे हैं जॉब क्रिएटर्स हम बनने वाले, we don't have to get into the existing businesses. इफ यू आर गेटिंग इनटू द एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेसेस, फिर आप वो कंपटीशन के चक्कर में पड़ते हो। वो 2 रुपए से दे रहा है तो मैं 1.5 रुपए से दूंगा, फिर वो भी 1.5 रुपए से देने लगेगा, फिर आपको 1 रुपए पे आना पड़ेगा, फिर आप कमाओगे क्या बीच में? सो यू कैन नॉट गेट इनटू दैट बिजनेस. Now here is the advantage of STEM student comes in, because we come up with a innovative solution. And when an innovative solution comes, which is patentable, have an IP and all those sort of thing, then you beat the competition. फिर अगर वो 2 रुपए में बेच रहा है पर आपका सोल्यूशन बेस्ट है, आप 20 रुपए में बेचो, लोग खरीदेंगे. दिस इज वॉट is the advantage that we all have. So there is a gap in the market today available, और जैसे सबने thumbs up किया है for problem, so everybody is facing problem, so there is huge amount of gap. लेकिन उसका solution देने वाला वही है जो स्मार्ट है और जिसको अच्छा साइंस आता है. सिर्फ साइंस बहुत है लोग देने वाले, और स्मार्ट भी बहुत लोग हैं, लेकिन पीपल हु आर स्मार्ट इनफ एंड ऑल्सो नोज गुड साइंस आर द वंस हु कैन स्टार्ट द कंपनीज. और जो बीच का मिसिंग लिंक है वो है द पीपल हु कैन ट्रांसलेट दैट आइडियाज. मतलब दिस इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग ड्यूरिंग आवर पीएचडीज, या फिर हमारे प्रोजेक्ट्स आप कर रहे होंगे मास्टर्स में एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग। एक प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है, उसका सोल्यूशन आप कर रहे हो, तो आप स्मार्ट भी हो, आप सोल्यूशन भी फिगर आउट कर रहे हो, बट यू आर नॉट एबल टू ट्रांसलेट दैट इनटू अ प्रोडक्ट, समथिंग विच पीपल कैन यूज। बिकॉज entrepreneurship स्टार्ट व्हेन देयर इज अ ट्रांजैक्शन। मैं कुछ बेचूं, आप कुछ खरीदोगे, मैं प्रॉफिट कमाऊं, दैट्स बिजनेस। So unless I convert it into a form which can be sold to somebody, it's not a business. It's a solution. So वो नहीं चाहिए. We want to be the ones who can translate those ideas and sell it into the market. और फाइनली वही पर अपॉर्चुनिटी है, बिगेस्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी है, जो उसको सही ढंग से कम्युनिकेट कर पाता है। सो यू हैव सीन द शार्क टैंक पिचेस एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग। इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू आर्टिकुलेटली कम्युनिकेट इट, आई एम अ शाय गाय, आई डोंट वांट टू टॉक टू मल्टीपल पीपल एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग। सॉरी, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में आपको शाय होने से नहीं चलेगा। यू विल हैव टू go interact with people, and you'll have to learn that it is something which is an adaptation that can happen in human beings, and you can still do it. So with this, I think I'll pass it on to Ashutosh. How we can translate what are the methodologies of doing it of an innovative business from an idea to the communication cycle that we're talking about.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Uh, Pretty much valid points. And Milind, I think what we have also observed throughout the sessions that we are taking is, um, you know, as I mean, it was evident from the responses that there are people are, bursting with ideas, but unaware of as to how to take it ahead. And I think this is what needs to be taught in greater details. Now, going back to the start is, uh, one must need to identify the problem first rightly, so that you add a layer of innovation on top of it to create multiple business opportunities. Now, this requires a whole lot of different mindset because A, you're trying to solve the problem a little differently. B, you're going to create a separate business model for yourself and a category maybe of a category of a product maybe, and you will not be able to deal with that product with the 15-20 year old back, what जो भी उसका बिजनेस मॉडल था, वो बिजनेस मॉडल लेके आप आज के दिन में, आज के तारीख में आप प्रोडक्ट सेल नहीं कर पाते हो. So even though you want to sell Wix, let's say, okay, Wix is a very well-known kind of a brand. Everybody agrees. But now you must have seen Instagram is full of those solutions. But the way they are pitching it to you and the way they are reaching to you are completely different. Now Wix doesn't need social media marketing because it's a well-established brand. Okay. But if you're thinking of creating such similar product, which is technically superior or has got a little bit of additional patented formulations, different formulations than which gives effect pretty faster, or it is maybe doing it better than any other existing brands, then you need to think about how those businesses did in the last so many years. What did they do to come up with a differentiated kind of a product offering, and then jump to the solution. So one must think now empirically, because we have access to a lot of data as to what are the problems that are existing, how have they been able to solve it earlier, and what needs to be done to solve it now. So you need to take into cognizance the data which is available for the market, the data which is available for patents or innovation maybe, and then base that, take that as a base, and then move ahead with finding out really good alternatives for the product that are existing. And naturally how it goes is that आप जैसे रिसर्च को प्रेजेंट करते हो in front of your PhD guides or your final viva at the PhD, businesses need not be presented that way. There is a separate skill that needs to be acquired, because now we are talking about the economic side of the science. So I just want to walk you through a chasm. Okay, how many of you know Netflix? Everybody knows Netflix. Why does Netflix have so many subscriptions? Have you given it a thought? Can you put one single point which you feel uh, is apt and that's the reason why Netflix has got so much of viewership or so much of subscriptions, so many subscriber for Netflix. One point that you feel uh, because of which Netflix has gained so many subscriptions. Quickly in the chat box, please. And I'll tell you why they have that kind of subscription base. Can we see some answers in the chat box? Quickly. 1 point. Variety of channels. Sudhir says variety of channels. That's correct. What else? Quick, quick, quick.
Quick, don't be shy. Science students are known to be shy.
That is very prompt, but Sudhir, I think what Netflix has been able to do, many languages, that's correct. What Netflix has been able to do is provide you with catchy trailers. Interesting. What they have been able to do is they have given you the freedom to choose the content. Right? When you say there is a multiple variety of channels, many languages, new series or pictures are there, completely agreed. But my second question to you is, do you know that what Netflix was doing earlier to start it, earlier, before they were OTT platform? Anybody knows this? What Netflix was doing earlier to becoming a OTT platform? Netflix was selling and it was running a rental DVD subscription or rental, cassettes. There used to be video cassettes earlier. So they had a firm by the name of Blockbuster earlier, and they used to rent out DVDs and CDs to people. Now, with the advent of technology, जैसे ही इंटरनेट आया, they felt that we need that shift, that chasm needs to be crossed. Now our audience is going to go larger. With the internet, they really cannot sustain their business model of renting of DVDs, rental DVDs. It is not sustainable business model. So they needed innovation, and what helped them is the internet. Okay, now their whole business became established on the basis of internet. So now they slowly shifted all the rental business model to streaming business model. Now there is again a catch. How many of those movies can be streamed online? Right? So they went global then. Earlier, they used to only stream movies which were from Hollywood. Now they went international. They started, streaming international movies. Now again, there came a catch. For how long you can stream movies and get subscriptions? Okay, they needed to have their own content. So there came a third shift in their business model, and wherein, because of the profits that they had earned from so many years, they said that, hey, we have invested in internet, now let's invest into our own content. So now that's how they started producing more movies, and that's the reason why the points that you are talking are now slowly becoming really very apt. There are variety of channels. There are many languages in which you can watch the movies. They are producing new series and movies, and they are uploaded. They are, in order to, attract more kind of a audience, they are creating interesting trailers out of it. So this is what needs to happen. You need to know what the businesses has been doing, how they had emerged, what problems that they were solving. Are those problems the same throughout the years? You will see it has changed. The problem statements have changed. And that's where I think effectively, when you are pitching in front of the investor or even in front of somebody who is going to probably fund you for the problems that you're solving and for the solutions that you've made, your pitch has to be a little different. It need not be the typical kind of a pitch कि मुझे 10 slides में कुछ तो बोलना है, and my pitch is over. Your pitch is over in first 2 seconds, first 2 minutes only. If you don't catch the eyes of the investors in those first 2 minutes, then your pitch is already gone. So you need to be very cautious about what you're putting on your pitch deck. And I think we have experienced this, Milind, quite often, that people for whom we have really helped in raising funds, we have spent considerable amount of time in revamping their pitches and giving them good strategies which will catch attention of the investors. So I think, yeah, with
Yeah.
that, I think I'll again, throw the ball in Milind's court and ask him to take it ahead from here.
Yeah, yeah. So where I left was innovation. Basically, what differentiates us as as STEM students than other people who are already doing business. So you've all seen the trading businesses, buy it from somewhere else and then sell it at somewhere else and beach में अपना margin कमाओ. That sort of trading business is what is all the retail stores से लेकर तो सब लोग कर रहे हैं. और आज भी आप अगर देख रहे हो larger bigger businesses, the baseline of that business still remains the same. आप Blinkit का मॉडल ले लो, स्विगी का मॉडल ले लो, दे आर उनके अपने कोई प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं, दे आर बाइंग प्रोडक्ट्स फ्रॉम समवेयर एल्स, स्टोरिंग इट एंड देन डिलीवरिंग इट टू यू. सो what they have done differently is the innovation in the platform or the way they are delivering the solution. So there is some sort of innovation component जिसकी वजह से they are more successful than the existing बनी और दुकानदार of your colony. So innovation component is very important. And अगर ओवरऑल हमें इनोवेशन बेस्ड बिजनेस करना है तो द बिजनेस प्रिंसिपल्स रिमेन्स द सेम. द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज रिमेन्स वेयर आर यू गोइंग टू इनोवेट एंड हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू इनोवेट. उसलिए द थिंग दैट आई टोल्ड यू, इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रॉब्लम वेरी वेल कि लोगों को अपने घर से चल के जाना पड़ रहा है, दुकान से सामान खरीद के वापस लाना पड़ रहा है, वहां पर आप बार्गेनिंग कर रहे हो, आपको ऑफर्स नहीं मिल रहे हैं, ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग्स, आपको एक जगह पर सब कुछ देखने को नहीं मिल रहा है, जो उसने शेल्फ के ऊपर रखा है वही ब्रांड आप खरीद के ला रहे हो, एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग्स. नाउ ऑल दीज बिजनेस मॉडल्स हैव कंप्लीटली ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड. उन्होंने आपका प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया कि आपको घर बैठे बैठे चीजें चाहिए. सो दैट इज द सोल्यूशन दैट दे स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन. एंड देन सोल्यूशन कुड बी मल्टीपल वेज टू डू इट. आपके घर में कभी वो न्यूज़पेपर के अंदर पैम्पलेट्स आते थे, अभी भी दूध के देर आर डिफरेंट बिजनेस मॉडल्स ऑफ द मिल्क ऑल्सो. द कंपनीज आर ऑल्सो अबाउट टू गो लिस्टिंग सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग. सो मतलब सिर्फ दूध बेच बेच के भी लोग अभी लिस्टिंग कंपनी लिस्ट कर रहे हैं, $1 billion वैल्यूएशन लेकर आ रहे हैं. So business models can be done, the same existing business model, दूध ही बेचना है, but in an innovative manner and enter different. So they are bringing innovation in the product and the way the product is being delivered to the people. तो वही आपको करना है. सो अगर हम एक स्नैपशॉट में देखने की कोशिश करें कि आपको आज अगर आपका बिजनेस जर्नी स्टार्ट करना है, वेयर टू स्टार्ट एंड वेयर आर यू गोइंग टू स्टार्ट सीइंग द रिजल्ट्स. सो ये 4 इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स है जो मैंने अभी स्क्रीन के ऊपर रखे. सो फर्स्ट इज प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफिकेशन. आपको एक नहीं 1000 प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई करो इन ऑन अ पेपर, ऑन अ शीट ऑफ पेपर. टुडे इटसेल्फ स्टार्ट राइटिंग व्हाट आर द प्रॉब्लम्स दैट आई एम एड्रेसिंग, और जिसके लिए सोल्यूशन बेचा जा सकता है. And after those bottling it down with the funnel, you will figure out कि 3 या 4 ही प्रॉब्लम्स ऐसे हैं जिनका सोल्यूशन भी बनाया जा सकता है इजीली और बेचा भी जा सकता है इजीली. That will come with the insight. So once you identify the problem, you have to bring in the insights. और अपने पास तो from STEM background we know normal distribution curve कर सकते हैं, data इकट्ठा कर सकते हैं, we can analyze that data and all those sort of things. Today there are a lot of AI based tools who can help you do these things. और फिर you can narrow it down कि बस this is the problem that I'm going to work, because this problem is मराठीत म्हणतो ना आपण जाज्वल्य प्रॉब्लेम आहे. म्हणजे this is something that people are dying. बॉस अब कुछ कुछ तो दो, मैं किडनी दूंगा तुमको मेरी सिचुएशन. दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ problem is something that if that is a problem that you can address, I mean that's the hook that people will bought it. And then comes the solution part of it, and solutions is an iterative thing. Never think about कि मैं परफेक्ट ही सोल्यूशन लाऊंगा तभी मैं मार्केट में उतरूंगा. So I've given an example. ISRO का today, we are India is the only country who have a low cost satellite launching platform, and it's a business model. By the way, country earns money, और आज वो ही business model is something which is giving us dollars जब हमें dollars की जरूरत है. So it was never started as a business model. What they started is एक problem का solution मेरे को ढूंढने का है. So the problem was कि बस propulsion technology नहीं है हमारे पास, हम अपने rockets ढंग से जा नहीं रहे and all this sort of thing. And then they figure out कि बस इसको low cost में किया जा सकता है. We are a low cost country. And then now it has turned out to be a very good business for ISRO. So ISRO is not dependent on anybody else to give them money और फिर हम हमारा आगे काम करेंगे. They have initially started a business. Why I given you an ISRO's example? Because STEM background, most of the people, all of us are more related to the science and science related things. But there are good business models happening inside the science ecosystem itself. That's the thing that I want. चलो तीनों चीज हो गए. अगर कम्युनिकेशन ढंग का नहीं है हमारे पास, सो अगर फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हाट यू हैव सीन इज ऑल द मोदी हगिंग the ISRO director, having an emotional bond, they are doing the live telecast of satellite launching and all those sort of things. This is marketing. of
Yeah.
our satellites for the
Pure marketing.
world. This is pure marketing. So if you इतना अच्छा प्रोडक्ट है, लेकिन अगर इतना ढंग का मार्केटिंग नहीं होता, तो आज ये जितने भी ईस्टर्न यूरोपियन कंट्रीज है, साउथ ईस्ट एशियन कंट्रीज है, ये इंडिया के पास आते हैं सैटेलाइट भेजने के लिए. सो बिकॉज ऑफ द मार्केटिंग, सो एवरी we have tried everything in that marketing, whether it is an emotional connect. So the communication is perfect. That boss, it's okay. We fail sometime, but we are not afraid of failure. And we can still provide you the same quality at a lower cost. That's the communication. Otherwise, आज तक हमारा जो belief है कि सस्ता है मतलब कुछ ना कुछ इसमें problem होगा. That mindset has been transformed. So इतना ही करना है. The moment you reach out to that last step wherein you have been able to communicate. Example करके देखो, अपने दिमाग में एक problem identify करो, फिर बंदा आइडेंटिफाई करो जिसको वो प्रॉब्लम है, उसको जाओ वो सोल्यूशन बेचने की कोशिश करो. एंड इफ ही इज इम्प्रेस्ड, आई एम टेलिंग यू, ओवरनाइट एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप आपका स्टार्ट हो सकता है आफ्टर जस्ट 1 hour of session. And then once we do a large kind of a session wherein we can segregate it out, it will be very nice. So the thing that I'm trying to tell you is बहुत specific problem identification. And then there is something called as a problem, and then there is something called as a problem statement. Problem है कि बॉस क्या है, पुणे में ट्रैफिक है, प्रॉब्लम है. फार्मर्स आर डूइंग सुसाइड, प्रॉब्लम है. बट प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट नहीं है. ये प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट कम्स अप विद अ वेरी नीश narrowed down approach of what exactly why that problem exists. When we do that complete characterization, there are multiple strategies to it, to come to that root cause, and then articulate your problem statement. So जैसे यहाँ पर है कि health care is broken, is ये problem है. This is not a problem statement. Why healthcare is, क्योंकि सारा रूरल वर्कर 40% ऑफ देम आर फॉर्म भरने में लगे. आपने मुन्ना भाई एमबीबीएस में देखा ना कि वो लाइन में फॉर्म, पहले पेशेंट को पहले फॉर्म भरना पड़ता है. दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग. It is changing now, but this is a problem. This was a problem. And then the problem statement comes up with a number. 40% of the time is lost in paper-based record keeping. Then you have to back it up with some sort of evidence that you are observing. You are thinking, what is the evidence? The evidence is movie में दिखा रहे हैं, ये यहाँ तक situation आ गई है that our movies have to communicate this problem. This is the situation. And movies are a very good way of communicating the problem. And then ultimately you'll have to figure out the stakeholders. कौन फॉर्म भर के लेता है, वो फॉर्म कहाँ जाता है, कहाँ प्रोसेसिंग होती है, all those sort of thing. If you can do it today, now people have most of the hospitals have electronic medical record. So
Yeah.
that solution came up with a perfected problem identification and a problem, driven approach sort of thing. And then you come up with building that solution. Building the solution, that's what I'm trying to tell you, that building the solution is the easiest part here, because we are all scientists and we know how to build the solution. But building a solution is not starting a company. ये गांठ बांध लो दिमाग में. Because solution तब तक प्रोडक्ट नहीं बन सकता जब तक वो बेचा नहीं जा सकता है. अनलेस यू अर्न सम मनी, इट इज नॉट अ बिजनेस. आई हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स हु आर गेटिंग बायरैक ग्रांट्स एंड मल्टीपल अदर ग्रांट्स एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग. सोल्यूशन तक के लिए पैसा उठा रहे हैं गवर्नमेंट से, लेकिन सोल्यूशन में ही खत्म हो जा रहा है. जब तक आप वो प्रोडक्ट बेचोगे नहीं, जीएसटी भरोगे नहीं, वो गवर्नमेंट का पैसा निकलेगा कैसे जो आपको दिया है ग्रांट फॉर्म में. सो यू इट हैज टू कन्वर्ट इनटू एन इकोनॉमिकल और अ financial transaction, then only it is a company. It is up tab tak whatever you have built is not a product, it's a prototype. But to do that, log MVP कहते हैं, minimum viable product or minimum viable business plan sort of thing. But what I try to advocate is minimum viable evidence. You have to show an evidence which suggests that your idea or the problem statement that you have identified versus the product that you have actually built can be sold into the market and can be a business which can earn money. And trust me, all the investors are actually looking at this. So भी आप शार्क टैंक देख रहे हो, वहां पर क्वेश्चंस जो आएंगे, जो प्रोडक्ट पिचेस आपको पसंद आता है, आप कोई प्रोडक्ट पिचेस में ज्यादा फोकस करते हो, बट
Exactly.
focus on the questions that they are asking. The questions that they are asking are the ones on which they are making the business decision, not on the product. I'm telling you again, they are not making a business investment decision based on the product that you have. बहुत सारे ऐसे आइडियाज रिजेक्ट होते हैं जिनके प्रोडक्ट सच में बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, हमें भी पसंद आते हैं, बट दोस बिजनेसेस आर नॉट वाइबल. सो मिनिमम वाइबल एविडेंस आपको देना पड़ेगा बिफोर यू गेट इनटू द एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप जर्नी. नाउ व्हाई इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट? इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द सक्सेस ऑफ योर बिजनेस, वन. But second, it is important for the success for you, because you are all at this young age, and what you are investing right now rather than the capital is your age, time. और वो रिवर्सिबल नहीं है, और वो सबसे ज्यादा वैल्यूएबल है, क्योंकि पैसा आज नहीं है, कल होगा, परसों नहीं है, उसके उसके अगले दिन फिर होगा. But age is something, if it is lost today, it is not going to come back tomorrow. So if you are going to spend your time, your age onto a business idea, you have to initially itself make sure कि ये सक्सेसफुल है. ऐसे ही मेरे को लगा भाई, चाय के टपरी के ऊपर सोच के मैंने देखा कि ये तो 1 लाख रुपए कमा रहा है महीने का बैठे बैठे. एंड लॉट ऑफ रील्स यू मस्ट बी सीइंग आर शोइंग एग्जैक्टली द सेम थिंग कि हाँ चल भाई अपन भी कल बिजनेस स्टार्ट करते हैं. इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन दैट वे. यू आर गोइंग टू वेस्ट योर टाइम एंड एनर्जी, बिकॉज दैट गाय जो चाय वाला है उसने बहुत सारा टाइम डाला और कल वो दुकान बंद भी हो जाएगा, आपको पता नहीं चलेगा. दैट्स हाउ volatile these things and this happens. Ultimately, when you are communicating these things, and as I said in the start itself, is being an entrepreneur, there are 2 3 things that you cannot escape. आप shy हो, आपका personality अलग है, so many other things, everything is acceptable, not a problem at all. But there are 3 things that you cannot escape. One, understanding of economics. And when I'm saying economics, आपको कोई बड़े बड़े एक्सेल शीट्स बनाने आने चाहिए, या जीएसटी रिटर्न कैसे फाइल करता है पता होना चाहिए जितने नॉर्म्स है, नो नीड. But basic understanding of finance is the most important thing, because when you are starting a company, if you company is what financial transaction, ultimately it is all about money money money. अगर आप मनी के बारे में नहीं सोच सकते हो कि आज मैंने कहां पर कितना पैसा डाला तो मेरे को कितना फायदा मिलने वाला है आउट ऑफ दैट, then it is of no use. So that is a quality which you cannot escape. ये आपको आना ही चाहिए, पैसे के बारे में आपको सोचना ही पड़ेगा. Commercial thinking is something that you have to bring. If you are the one who is sitting in that and doing that calculation for the chai tapri wala, excellent quality. That's how a businessman thinks about कि कितना मैं सोचूं फिर आगे जाकर फ्यूचर में कितना मेरे को फायदा होगा and all those sort of things. So that's one part. Second is you have to be an excellent orator. मतलब अगर आपके पास बहुत जबरदस्त कन्विंसिंग, यू आर एन इंट्रोवर्ट, नो प्रॉब्लम, बट हायर समबडी हु कैन पिच फॉर यू और मे बी स्पीक बेटर फॉर यू. उसके लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज क्या है? क्लैरिटी इन योर माइंड. यू हैव टू हैव अ कंप्लीट थिंग मैप्ड आउट इनसाइड योर माइंड, और एक बहुत अच्छी तरह का क्लैरिटी हो. और अगर वो क्लैरिटी आप आज देख नहीं पा रहे हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल की बॉस, व्हाट आई से दैट आई एम $1 billion कंपनी. I am not today, but it is in my mind. I have already said that I am a $1 billion company. So every orientation or everywhere that I go around, you will see that I behave like I am going to be a $1 billion company. That's how your pitch should be. So pitching का मतलब बेचना नहीं है. You are not a salesman. Salesman you can hire, right? But what 4 things that actually brings out the skeleton is, here is the problem that matters, and वो problem आपको फील होना चाहिए अंदर से, जिसको जैसे वो मूवीज में दिखाते हैं ना कि मैं महसूस कर सकता हूं तुम क्या फील कर रहे हो, प्यार या फिर नफरत जो भी है, whatever it is. So here is a problem that matters, and that matters to me as well. That's the feel that's how the pitch starts. And आज जो है, why it is failing, all those existing solutions which are already there but they have problems in it, इसीलिए तो आप कोई solution लेकर आ रहे हो. And this is what I am proposing, and here is what I need to move forward. बस ये 4 चीजें ही आपको बोलनी है whenever you are going to pitch. If these 4 things are clearly articulated, it won't take more than 2 minutes. You have a hook. People are attached to it, and the more emotion that you pour into it, the more successful your pitch is going to be. So what I'm going to do, Ashutosh, if there is nothing that you have, because we don't have too much of time, and what I want this session to be is more interactive kind of a session. So एक बड़ा session अपन करेंगे बाद में, but right now just for this to be more interactive, what I suggest is I want participation from all of you. So here is the thing. Now I'll give you 1 minute, and what you have to do is you have to identify a problem in your field, whatever it is. Engineering wale engineering ka socho, science wale science ka socho, right? I am saying your field only because of the reason that these are the problems that you have occurred. जिन लोगों ने thumbs up किया था वो तो लिखना ही चाहिए कि बॉस ये problem है. 3 things that you have to figure out: who else is experiencing this same problem? Does your technical training gives you an unusual angle on it, or can you describe it precisely in one sentence? एंड अगेन, इफ यू आर शाय, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि आपको यहाँ पर आकर बोलना है स्टेज के ऊपर या फिर इस टॉक के ऊपर, बट दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू डू. जिन लोगों ने किया है मुझे सिर्फ थम्स अप भेजो चैट में. आई एम वेटिंग. एंड डोंट बी शाय अगेन. And then I'll start with my story, and Ashutosh will start with his story of how we build our independent companies and how we came together and build another company. as well.
Sure. In fact, what we can do is this one sentence exercise, you can right now also send, or we will share an email with you. You can, share that exercise on that email as well. So that, and why I'm telling is because, of course, this 1 hour session was more on the lines of giving you an hint of what the longer course is all about. So there's a boot camp that we are trying to create for all of you. And interestingly, you all are aligned with that thought that you have an idea, but you don't know where to start, what to think, how to convert, and how to identify the real world problems into solutions, and convert them into opportunities. uh, then you will also learn something about fundamentals of entrepreneurship, इनोवेशन कैसे होता है, क्यों देखना चाहिए, why you need to add that layer of innovation, how do you cross that chasm, which I told you about Netflix. Then there are different sorts of you know uh, topics such as intellectual property, regulatory affairs, and all of those things. The last point which Milind probably highlighted more is on how do you communicate. So we will tell you about how your communication strategies needs to evolve based on your business models, and of course how to raise funds. So that entire 1 day kind of a session is going to revolve around all of these things. And um, we want to make you sure that after that 1 day session is over, you are having enough clarity as to identify the problems, solve it on the go, pitch it properly, so that your next investor presentation or any funding presentation is quite ready in 15 minutes. So this entire courseware has been developed and designed keeping in mind what problems you have, and that's what we are doing. We are trying to understand the problems first and then giving you a solution. So that's what needs to happen over and over again. It's an iterative kind of a thing. So we might experience certain new things. We are also not sure, because when it comes to innovation, सब लोग इनोवेशन को ऐसे जादू की छड़ी हैरी पॉटर की जो रहती है उसकी तरह सोचते हैं. But it's actually not that. you know Innovation is a guiding pointer. It gives you a direction. Okay, it is not the direction. Okay, it might give you're going in the not direction, but the innovation methodology tells you that probably you need to go south, right?
Correct.
So that's what the role of innovation, that's what the role of patents are. Those are always and always needs to be taken as a guiding pointers. It should act as a compass, not the direction. Okay.
Correct.
So maybe we can, receive, your one sentence exercise on email as well. If you want, you
Yes.
can, you can just
Yes.
share it here as well.
Yes.
We can share an email ID with you, through which you can, uh, communicate your one sentence exercise.
Great. Great. So Ashutosh, start with your journey and then I'll just chip in. Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. No, so I think it had been on my mind to start something way back in 2016. That was the time when I was thinking I need to start on my own. I need to start on my own. But then you don't have a what do you call, understanding of the demographics. Who are your clients? Who are your customers? To whom you will be able to cater is something that needs to be thought first. So I kind of spend time in understanding the ecosystem, how it works, what kind of problems the clients are facing. Because in the consulting business, you have more value when you understand the problem statements of your clients. So one needs to, and as Einstein once had told, that you need to spend 80% of the time identifying the problems, and then 20% of the times your solutions will automatically occur. So I kind of did that, and then faced a lot of you know uh, problems which clients were facing, and then other people were unable to solve. Missing link is something that you need to find out. Even the government recently has built that missing link bridge. to cut down on the time. So everybody is like, in the race of solving something, but at a faster rate. So then, what I thought of offering as an advisory service is that how do you innovate quickly, which has value, has got patentable outcome, and you can incorporate a layer of IP on top of it. And that's how I started my business in 2021. And coincidentally now, because I am into IP, I need to make sure that that IP makes money for the people to whom I have helped in filing patents and all the other intellectual property rights. So commercialization of the IP or the ideas that you have brought in place is something that needs to be looked into closely. Then, as I told you earlier in my earlier discussion, that, me and Milind, we were traveling extensively across India in different universities. And I had a companion who has been running his company, who has been identify problems in his domain, and I felt like, and he has a, properly commercialized kind of a product also with him, with a whole lot of patents filed on that particular solution. So I said, I have a guy who is sitting next to me in the flight without any any distractions. Why don't we discuss something which, probably adds value to the students, STEM students and researchers, even startups and then established businesses, because we are accustomed to identify problems and then solve it for them. So we kind of brainstorm for, let's say, I think 1.5, 2 months, Milind,
Yeah.
and then discussed about how this needs to be brought forward. So we identified our core customers. We know the problem statements of our core customers. What we are trying to do while having these sessions is we are validating if are those the really the problem statements that you are trying or you are facing. And that's how, White Chasm Consulting came into being.
Yeah.
So I think that's from my side. And
Sure.
Milind, you
Sure.
can just
Yeah.
add a few things.
Yeah.
And Komal, I think, wants to chip in next because
Yeah.
we are moving towards the
Yeah. So
closure.
we'll take. I'll
Yeah.
just quickly. Komal, do you want to come now, or
No,
maybe
no,
I'll just.
after you, Milind.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So as I told you, I've done a PhD from ARI Pune. Before that, so I did not do a PhD that way. I was working with Serum Institute of India. Before that, I was working with Renbaxi. So I was working in industry, and then I realized a problem in industry that you can be solved with research. And I came to research with a very clear focus की PhD करना है तो क्यों करना है, and then it has to be it has to lead to something, because I came from an industry background, I'm thinking about from a commercial point of view and all the sort of thing. After that, I wrote, before I could finish my PhD and go for a postdoc, I already had, money in my account, around 50 lakh rupees from government. So when my colleague, my friends, were going for PhD, for postdoc abroad, I was buying my own, instruments. I was hiring people and all those sort of things. So I run three companies now. The first company that started in 2016, we've raised around 8 government grants, and trust me, uh, scientists can do that, and government is promoting and providing a lot of capital. So I think my primary work, everything in that company has happened with the government capital. And once we identified, finished that research part of it, we have already had identified a problem and were working on a prototype. So something which was very common, silver nanoparticles was very common, but today I am the largest manufacturer of silver nanoparticles in India. So, we knew silver nanoparticles since almost 2 decades, but nobody was able to scale it to another level. So research was one part of it, but identifying that which industry that you need to target to actually capitalize it to a level was another story. So we capitalized onto medical devices as one of the thing. And today, after that, we've also raised VC capital, a couple of rounds, and today, that company, we have sold the marketing license to another company, and then now I'm working in poultry area, wherein I'm solving another problem in poultry area, which is infections and all those sort of things. But all my experience was into a product-based business, wherein I identified the problem, I made a product which can be sold to a customer, and then it's a pretty much straightforward. आप जितने आज मैं वो पूना में बेच रहा हूँ, कल मैं महाराष्ट्र में बेचूंगा, परसों मैं इंडिया में बेचूंगा, फिर मैं इंटरनेशनल बेचूंगा, and that's how you start scaling your business into a product-based business. But when I met Ashutosh, something really struck in about service-based business, because it's a completely different model. Here you are not selling a product, but you are selling your own time, your own experience, your network, and facilitating some success to someone else's journey. And that's where White Chasm was born in that flight. I guess the moment we came in just next 8 days time frame, we started White Chasm, and I think we are not 6 months old, and we have already raised capital for eight startups, and we are already guiding around 15 to 20 students, and we are also doing cohorts. So essentially, I'm exactly like you, a science student. But only thing was shifting the mindset. No, I'm the first generation entrepreneur. Nobody in my family has done a business. I'm doing business since last almost 12, 13 years. And one company already sold, one company started, and the third company is something that we are going to do. Purely innovation based business. Every product that I am selling into the market have at least 5 patents around it, which are protecting it. One core patent and 3 or 4 gatekeepers around it. We have almost 10 to 12 individual patent granted on our name, India and also international. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it is not a very difficult thing. If I can do it, you can also do it. The only thing is it requires a systematic methodology to be successful in a very short frame of time. And that's why I started collating all my experiences and everything, and then I wrote this book called a Startup DNA, wherein all the things that I've gone through, as I told you, problem identification, solution driven approach, prototyping, and also I've written few chapters on an emotional connect of the journey, which I'm right now going through. How do you make an emotional connect with your customer, with your team? How do you build your team? And how do you emotionally communicate your story with the same amount of energy and zeal? And what do you feel as a startup? Because when you're as a CEO of a company, you do not have friends. Either you have colleagues or employees. You do not have friends. So that is another story that happens moving forward. So I think with that I will stop, and Komal, you can take over, and I think we can entertain a couple of questions if there are any.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Milind and Ashutosh, for such an insightful and engaging session. I'm sure today's discussion has given all our participants valuable insights into innovation, entrepreneurship, and the journey of transforming ideas into impactful solutions. So we now move into a Q&A segment. I invite all participants to post their questions in the chat box or raise their hand. And if they would like to interact directly with the speakers, they can unmute themselves and speak. I encourage all of you to make the most of this opportunity and engage with our experts. So if you have any questions, you can write in the chat box or raise your hand and directly interact with the speakers. तुमचे काही प्रश्न असतील तर तुम्ही हात रेस करू शकतात आणि विचारू शकतात. आपके
Yeah,
कोई भी सवाल होंगे तो प्लीज पूछिएगा.
we are multilingual, so no problem. You can
And
Yeah,
don't be shy.
don't be
Don't be
shy.
shy.
exactly.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली. स्टार्टिंग आप लोग यहाँ तक आए हो, इस सेशन में आप अटेंड कर रहे हो, दैट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप दैट यू हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन आउट ऑफ योर कंफर्ट जोन, दैट की बॉस मेरे को कुछ तो करना है इन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. सो नाउ इफ यू हैव टेकन द फर्स्ट स्टेप, डोंट लेट इट गो इनटू द वेस्ट. आपकी लास्ट 45 मिनट्स वेस्ट नहीं होने चाहिए.
Okay, there's one question.
Okay.
The gap. Okay. Sudhir Savant has asked a question: how to lessen the knowledge gap between student and industry.
How to lessen the gap between?
The student and industry.
Okay. So, Sudhir, I'll just give you a brief workflow. Okay. There's a workflow called DIKW: data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Okay. So you have data. What do you do with that data collection? you convert it into information now, which is going to go in your research paper or your thesis or whatever. You have collected data. You will put it in the form of information into your research paper. Somebody when reads that information, that is knowledge for the other person on the other side of the thing. And when you and him or her, both of you, when you practice that knowledge quite often, you convert that into wisdom. Correct? This is what happens. Okay. So now if you see, if you're asking how to lessen knowledge gap between student and industry, you need to know what's happening in the industry. Currently, all the projects that you're doing are not, I mean, this is
Yeah.
pretty much evident. They are not
Yes, yes.
industry aligned.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we need to bring, and we have incorporated this in our one-day boot camp, is that we will throw some industry relevant problems at you, which you can solve with your knowledge that you have gathered for so many years. Okay, so how to lessen the gap? The onus of lessening the gap is on us only. We need to identify industry specific problems, because in the academics you will never be taught about solving complex problems of the industry. At the academic level, you're asked to solve or asked to learn about the basics of science. Now, how to convert that scientific knowledge into technology is something that needs to be thought about, and that's where I think thinking differently and building it differently and pitching it differently comes in play.
Correct.
Now, these scientific knowledge, when you have converted into technology, also needs to be converted into a product. So there is
Correct.
again this transition, science, technology, and product. So unless you develop a product, nobody is going to buy it from you.
Correct.
So in order to lessen the gap, I think one must need to understand the problems of the industry. Then only you are defining your customer base, whom to sell, what money you will earn out of it is something that needs to be figured out. So I think you need to definitely onboard on that one day kind of a boot
Yeah.
camp.
Yeah. So the next question is, do we need to have a lot of capital before starting? So this is a very interesting question. So have you heard the story of that some businessman कि मैं घर से चला था 500 रुपए जेब में थे मेरे, आज मैंने इतना बड़ा बिजनेस एम्पायर स्टार्ट किया. और these days this Sunil Shetty reel is going on a lot of time. मैंने पैसे 500 करोड़ बनाए, and then people are just taking the book and pen and waiting for him to, and वो चलता गया, गिरता गया, फिर मैं उठता गया, फिर मैं चलता गया. So if I have to bluntly give an answer to this, no. Frankly, you do not require a lot of capital. Seriously, people who have actually had 500 rupees in their pocket and today have started businesses, they have done that. I'll just give you a simple example. For example, अगर आपके पास एक आइडिया है एंड आपको वो प्रोडक्ट मार्केट के अंदर बेचना है, सो आपको प्रोडक्ट बनाना पड़ेगा एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग इज अ सेकेंडरी थिंग. ये सारा काम फ्री में हो सकता है, but you have to have hold of that customer and hold of the thing. One, you can take advance money from the customer and then go and build the product, and a very established platform is already existing onto this, wherein people raise capital on just the prototype format. लोग एडवांस में बुक करते हैं प्रोडक्ट को, एंड देन विद दैट मनी दे गो. बिल्डर का मॉडल भी सेम होता है. बिल्डर पहले फ्लैट बनाता नहीं है, बिल्डर पहले सिर्फ प्लान बनाता है और बेचता है आपको. आप पहले एडवांस पे करते हो, उसी पैसे से वो बिल्डर एक बिल्डिंग के ऊपर चढ़ाते जाता है. सो दे ऑल्सो डू नॉट रिक्वायर अ लॉट ऑफ कैपिटल टू स्टार्ट देयर बिजनेसेस. सो फ्रैंकली, इन वन वर्ड द आंसर इज नो. But what I and Ashutosh are trying to tell you is, in that boot camp, this is what we are going to tell you कि आपका बिजनेस स्टार्ट करने के पहले बिना पैसे खर्चा किए आप कितना ज्यादा काम कर सकते हो. इफ यू आर श्योर कि आप ये सब कुछ कर लेने वाले हो, देन देर विल बी लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु विल स्टार्ट गिविंग यू मनी. सो रेजिंग कैपिटल इज नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम इफ यू हैव अ गुड आइडिया एंड अ गुड प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट. Raising capital is not a problem. So to answer to this is, we do not require a lot of capital before starting the business. What should student learn before starting a business? I would say read my book, but yes, come to the boot camp. And I think what we will do is, if we are able to do it one day, or I think if we are able to do a 3-day boot camp now, so end of the third day you will go and start your business. I'm telling you, this is guaranteed, because you have done this with a lot of people. doing business is not a difficult thing. You are seeing people no around you who are doing businesses. वैसे ही आपको करना है. वो क्या कर रहे हैं आपको सिर्फ वो रेप्लिकेट करना है, सिर्फ इनोवेटिव फॉर्मेट में करना है. हाँ, अब इनोवेशन करने के लिए आपको टाइम जाएगा, बट दैट समथिंग कैन बी फिगर्ड आउट इफ यू नो, इफ यू हैव फिगर्ड आउट बिफोर हैंड, then you can build strategies to mitigate it. As simple as that.
Yeah. So there's a time constraint, and yeah, I request participants to definitely join the bootcamp. I invite all the participants to be a part of our upcoming one-day bootcamp, where you will get an opportunity to engage more deeply with concepts of innovation, entrepreneurship, problem solving, and pitch development through the interactive sessions and hands-on activities. So we will soon be sharing the updates and registration details for the bootcamp, and we encourage all of you to stay connected and register yourself for the same. So, coming to the end of the session, on behalf of Pune Knowledge Cluster, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our distinguished facilitators, Dr. Milind Choudhary and Mr. Ashutosh Prachand. Thank you for sharing your time, expertise, experiences, and practical insights with all of us today. Your guidance has certainly inspired participants to think beyond conventional approaches and explore the possibilities of innovation driven impact. I would also like to thank all the participants who joined us this evening. Your enthusiasm, curiosity, and active engagement truly made this session meaningful. I would also like to extend our sincere gratitude to our CEO, Dr. Avinash Kumbhar sir, and my colleagues Rupali and Sheetal for the support, coordination, and efforts made in this session. So we hope this webinar serves you as the beginning of more ideas, collaborations, and entrepreneurial journeys ahead.